Hey everybody, I'm Aaron Dieppe, host of Shoot to Earn, a show where I get to hang out and talk business with awesome photographers from all over the world. Joel, thanks for being on the show today.
Hey, glad to be here.
Before we get started, I should probably talk about how we met. I met you, I think it was a year and a half ago. I
I
went,
think.
yeah, I went to lunch with you and Victor in Fullerton, and what stood out in my mind was after lunch we went and stopped by your studio, and I'd never been there before, and I was just blown away with how it's one of the coolest studios I've ever been to.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, I mean it's everybody can see it right now behind you, and it's a really well styled studio.
That's what happens when you have a decorator for a wife.
It's pretty epic, and we'll talk about that too. Um, so impressive. But before we get into talking more about your studio, let's go ahead and give our viewers a little background on you. What's your story? How'd you get your start in photography?
Well, I spent a number of years at community college after high school, not knowing what to do with the rest of my life. I wanted to do something that I would love and was totally into. Didn't want kind of a regular job, so a lot of years at community college, taking all kinds of random classes. My brother got a camera maybe about 5, 6 years into my college career, and I mentioned something to my wife about it. Might be fun to get a camera and play around. So she got one for me our first Christmas together. Took a photo class. I happened to be going to Orange Coast College, which still has an awesome photo program. So started taking classes, and one day I remember standing in the dark room and looking around. So this is like a real job. People do this, and that was it.
Then you were sold. You're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for my career.
So took every class that seemed interesting over there, and then
Okay,
quit my job at the supermarket and became a photographer.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's start there then. What was your first step towards pursuing the career?
Well, right away when I quit the job, I drove to Alaska. Took a couple months. Took my camera, my bicycle, and slept in my truck for 2 months and drove up the coast.
That's awesome.
Just taking photos and little rides here and there. When I was gone, my wife was still at the market because somebody had to work, and and she met a woman who had weddings at her estate over in Orange, not too far from here. And whatever, I came up and she asked my wife if I would ever shoot a wedding, and my wife was like, I don't know, maybe I'll talk to him. And I went and talked to her and shot a wedding that already had a photographer. Just took some funny little photos and printed a bunch of 4x6s and took them back to her, and she thought they were okay for her lowest budget brides, I guess. So but I had a great time. She started referring me to people that couldn't afford a real photographer, and about a year into it, I did a whole album for her, and she was totally blown away. That was mostly with the Hasselblad, some with 35 film. No digital. That was 13, almost 14 years ago. So yeah, started doing the low budge, made a book for her of a decent wedding that I shot there, and she was so impressed and told me to triple my prices, and I'm that good. And she started sending me a lot of clients, and by the third year I was booked. I had 33 weddings my third year, and some from her, but a lot from the earlier clients referring me to other people, and it just, I don't know, just kind of took off. But she was huge start.
Kind of just snowballed from there.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy that I fell into it, and it ended up being such a perfect fit for my procrastination, last minute brain working mentality. And I don't know, it seems like every quality of mine just worked well in shooting the wedding, and I totally enjoyed it. Still my favorite thing to shoot, so worked out nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so you're saying that phone's ringing in the background. New client.
Hopefully Booker.
Yeah. Where was I? So you're saying basically you shot a few weddings and you killed it. So your clients loved you so much they just referred you, and kind of just snowballed from there.
Pretty much.
And you had no intention originally to be a wedding photographer.
No. And actually, at the time, I didn't know too much about wedding photography, but I took the formal, or actually the portrait class, and it was like the family portraits where you set up the triangle of people, of heads,
Yeah.
and just so staged, but not my thing. That wasn't what I wanted to do with photo. I wanted to catch emotion and people that didn't really know the camera was there and their real expressions and stuff like that. And that's the way I approached shooting weddings. And lucky for me, the photojournalism style was really starting to take off right when I was starting. So it just, I don't know, just all worked out.
So you were kind of cutting edge too, because that was in '99. You said,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I read that on your blog actually. That was in '99. So back then, probably a lot of the photographers had a more traditional approach.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm just extrapolating here, but maybe that's kind of what made you stand out.
Could be. Yeah.
So,
Could be. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, so it sounds like your creativity is kind of what propelled you at first. But what sustained you? Because I want to get more into like the business side of photography. Because obviously, you're probably your personality had something to do with it, not just the photos. Am I right? Were you pretty good with your clients?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of a people pleaser, so I don't say no very often, and figure out how to make it work later. I don't know. I'm not too proud to say, this is my photo shoot. I do it this way. Get out of here. I don't play that. So whatever.
No soup for you.
Yeah. So, no soup for you. Somebody's paying me to make photos for them. Of course, I want them to. I want to have fun doing it. So I want to do what I do. Yeah. But if they want pictures of family portraits for 6 hours, whatever you want to do. If you want full documentary style, no problem with me. Whatever you want to do. And I don't know, treat everybody in the industry that way. Try to be upfront, do people favors whenever they ask or need to. And I don't know, you help me, I'll help you. And sometimes you get the help back, and sometimes you don't. But whatever. So it's a lot of work, definitely. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It seems to have worked, as my business has always improved year after year for this long. So I can't really complain.
So being nice goes a long way. Is what you're saying?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and there's the time when you're not nice, or when someone's not nice, and I'm sure you've experienced this. Everyone's experienced this. You encounter someone that's not nice, and they're not accommodating. Well, they're done. That bridge is burned. I mean, people like that I don't want to deal with. Yeah. Not like do everything I want and for whatever price or whatever. But I don't know. I think you're getting what I'm saying.
I think I am. Yeah. So you're not saying let people take advantage of you. You're just saying do everything in your power to give your clients what they want.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. Okay. Well. So you're saying being nice, along with obviously your creative talent, but what about like following up with clients after? Like, do you maintain that relationship with them?
Not too much. I mean, I was going to say that too. Being nice and being a nice person on the day of the wedding, interacting with the bride and groom, when they see the pictures, because they like you, the pictures are better. You could show them the exact same set of photos, but you're nice, the pictures are great. If you're an ass, they're going to pick apart the photos and say, gosh, he was such a jerk, and this picture, he forgot this, or whatever. It's just, they seem to like the photos more if they like you. So be nice, and your pictures are better.
That's a good quote for Joel. Be nice, and your pictures are better.
Instantly.
I like that. There's a lot of truth in that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Especially
that was a little off from your last question. What was your last question again?
I kind of went off on 8 tangents in my own head, so I can't remember. It was if you maintain relationships with your clients, if you follow up with them after the wedding.
Usually there's communication with the album back and forth. We don't charge for edits in the album, so sometimes we'll go back and forth 20 times, and a lot of correspondence that way. Sometimes there's not. They'll choose their favorites. We'll do a design. They'll see it. I'll never see them again. But then a few years later, I'll get someone that was referred by them. You know, I mean, and especially in my crazy life, I don't have time to go to coffee with clients after an engagement shoot. I got to get home and see my kids before they go to sleep, and paint a table for my wife, or whatever other odds and ends. So, I mean, being nice and genuine when you're there, but yeah, I don't really have time to hang out with people like I would like. I mean, I have a lot of clients I would love to hang out with, but I mean, I have 3, maybe 2 friends as it is, just because there's not enough time in the day.
Right.
So, yeah. And now, last couple of years, I've had a studio manager, last few years, and she's great. My editor's awesome for keeping in touch and all the follow-up after, which is just so above and beyond what I ever did before. And it's been fantastic. People think I'm an actual, real professional company, so it's cool.
Because of people think I'm an actual, real professional
even before
company.
the wedding,
So
there's
cool.
a lot more correspondence. I never did much before that, so I think it definitely helps, though.
The studio manager helps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and for years I would hire editors to help while I did all the yucky admin stuff that I hated. And then actually, when my wife started her company, and she hired someone right off the bat that did all the crap stuff that she didn't like. She just wanted to buy furniture. Yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is like the first year, you already got this figured out. Like, I need somebody like that to do all that. So that was huge learning experience for me, and it's been great. Been so great. Way less stress on me, and I do what I like to do instead of do some of the yucky stuff, but not nearly as much. So it's good.
That's one of the things I wanted to talk about, actually, was because I know you're married and you have kids, and so you have a family. In addition to running this full-time studio, and then your wife also has a business within the same industry, Found Rentals. How do you balance it all? How do you mix in personal life in there? Do you have any suggestions for photographers out there struggling with that?
It's a crazy circus. That's all I can say.
That's it.
Well, the thing for me after 13 years, it's real. Well, I'm never like the all consumed person about my business. Like, yeah, I worry about stuff, worry about the big tax bill I just got, but it doesn't stay in the forefront of my brain. It's there. Yeah. What am I going to do? I don't know. I mean, I'll do what I can tomorrow, and it'll work out in the end. Jenny's not that person. So Jenny's in the biz, and she's just all biz, and she's just in massive growth mode. I mean, she about doubles her sales every year for the last 3 since it started. So I mean, It's turned into this massive thing. Awesome. So it is harder for her to let go because there's so much going on over there. But she has great employees, so she can. But it's just her mental escape is a lot harder. So it's tough for us to get away. We've been the start of the year. She said she wants to take a trip every month, at least overnight somewhere. And we've been 2 of the months were shopping trips for her. So she's working, but she's out of town. So I don't know, and that's definitely not rest for her.
It's a balance, right?
Yeah, but escaping. Tonight we're going stay in a hotel overnight, and kids are at sleepover. So we'll nice. A one night escape, but maybe a little bit in the morning, but. It's definitely a circus, and she's not too involved in the studio anymore. She used to be, but I do kind of a lot for Found as far as handyman stuff and other business problems and other issues. She likes to bounce everything off of me. Not everything, definitely not everything, but a lot of things, the big problems and stuff like that. And I'm definitely a fix-it guy. I like it, okay, what's the problem? What do we do to fix it is kind of a thing that I like. I think that's why I like photography so much.
Yeah.
You got a problem, you got to figure out, okay, I want to do that. Now, how do I do that?
Yeah.
So I definitely do a lot over there, but I mean, I have a great team that seriously blow my mind. So.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You're a lucky guy.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of neat to see you getting a little emotional right now. Like I think that's really cool. It goes to show like what a lot of photographers out there can aspire to. Know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Keep your head down and you'll get there.
Yeah, there were definite years of sitting in the attic, and because we have a tiny house, and up till I don't know 2 or 3 editing photos and doing album design when I did everything myself, and I was still 30, 40, 50 weddings a year and did everything myself, and lasted a few years, but after a while you just can't keep up. You can't do that forever. So it gets nice to kind of get some systems in place and get efficient. Lightroom came, and I mean, that was massive. That saved me, a number of days every month. just Lightroom came out. I mean, that was unbelievable. And then, having staff once you're able to help out, and yeah, it gets bigger, but it can get easier as you learn more and change and get more efficient, and kind of set your priorities. And then too, like I said, I never wanted to trust someone else to do the admin stuff. I didn't say that, but it's really tough to give away such important duties. Like, this is my business. I've got to do all this myself to do it right. But turns out other people can actually do things better than you, surprisingly. And that's what they like to do. I like to make photos and that. So I'll concentrate on that and let other people concentrate on things that they do well and things that they like. So,
well,
yeah.
I think that's really good advice. I mean, I know that's something that I've struggled with, just letting go, because sometimes you just can't do it all, no matter how bad you want it. And if you do, you might be sacrificing on quality.
Definitely.
So,
and there might be a little bit of that. I mean, in editing and even having an associate photographer, she doesn't shoot like me. I've never tried to make my associate shoot like me. She used to edit a lot for me, so she'd see 100,000 images a year that I made. So she was definitely influenced by my work, but I never wanted her to be like me, because there's that honest, genuine feeling in the photos that just goes away when you're shooting for someone else's style. So with her, with editors, they might edit a little bit differently than I would, but you gotta be okay with it. You gotta to like what they do first, and be okay that it's not exactly how you want every single image, but it's good. And sometimes it's kind of brainstorming. Well, wow, how'd you do that? That's pretty rad. Let's try that again on something else. And it kind of brainstorm and grow, and everyone grows together. So it's definitely good. Tough to let go at first, but definitely can be a good thing.
Well, I want to backtrack real quick for a second. I have, you touched on the fact that, it hasn't always been easy. And in our pre-interview, you mentioned a hard time that you went through. I was hoping you could describe that.
Yeah, when the house was getting too small, our kids were not babies anymore. Little home office wasn't cutting it. 2 of our 4 rooms were photo offices, so not so great with 4-people family. So we decided to finally move out and get a studio, and found a spot. Jenny found it and said, "This is it. Let's do this." And once she finds something and sets her mind to it, it's a done deal. So there's no arguing, no what ifs. It's just do it. So found it, signed the lease in January. I think it was 08, 7. I don't know. Maybe a week or 2 before the big recession hit is when I signed my lease. So I went from pretty much no overhead to big overhead, and that was in January. And the booking stopped, and everything stopped.
The recession hit.
Massive. massive stress. Yeah, that's when people were booking 9, 12, 18 months out, and then after the recession, they were like 2 or 3 months out if you're lucky. So, I mean, I know a lot of photographers that took a big hit. They didn't have the increase in overhead like I did. I think I was probably worse off as far as that goes. But I wasn't too proud. I wasn't too proud to shoot for $1,500 when before the recession I was shooting for, my minimum was about 5,000. But, somebody inquired and I was there like, so what are your rates for? I'm like, well, let's talk about that. When's your wedding and how much money are you planning on spending? Yeah, let's do that. Let's go. So I ended up going from years prior, about 50 to 55 weddings a year, to that first year, I was right about 80 weddings that year. But my averages were way, way down. But cash flow held up and we made it through. Prices the next year we're already starting to stabilize a little bit, and my starting price was much lower than before the recession, but since then it has increased every year till this year. I left it the same just because I'm in a pretty comfortable spot right now, and now I'm up. My minimums are higher than what they were before the recession. So I was glad I stuck through it, stuck with it, and made it work.
So lesson to be learned: persevere, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I started to say I heard some pretty bad stories of other photographers that maybe weren't too proud to lower their prices, but for whatever reasons they didn't lower their prices, and they had some really dry year, 2 or 3, or went into another field. I mean, it was that bad. But I mean, supply and demand. If there's no demand, then my prices are low. If I'm booked every weekend and I'm getting a lot of calls, my prices are high. So that's how I work that.
It's always interesting to talk to photographers about that particular topic, whether or not to lower your prices, in the slow times. Because, I mean, if you're in business long enough, no matter what, you're going to have slow times. It's just how the business is. And I've heard both sides to that. Some people are like, no, hold your ground because it's going to impact, your image and your brand if you lower your prices. But, I think it's probably case by case basis. It seems to me that the photographers that I've talked to who said that typically don't have a lot of overhead, so they can get away with that. Whereas you were in a position where you're like, whoa, I have this massive overhead. I have to stay afloat here. So you're going to do whatever it takes. Yeah. And look, I don't think it's hurt your brand whatsoever. I mean, you've come back and you come back even stronger. So
yeah, I think so. I mean, there was that talk when the recession hit that Pelican Hill, the resort down Newport Coast, was the only resort in Orange County that didn't lower their rates drastically from the recession. So Montage, Ritz-Carlton, all of them lowered their rates, and Pelican Hill stuck it out, kept their same prices, and they stayed, as far as I'm concerned, the top in Orange County beach area. So, I mean, there is that, and I'm sure, obviously, both ways work because I'm still here and they're still here. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely have never been the master business person, and anyone in photo or any other field, artistic field, in talking about degrees in college, I'm like, well, photo's easy to learn if you love it. If you love it, you're going to try everything, you're going to experiment, you're going to learn. That part's easy. The business part is the hard part. If you don't love it, it's going to be the hard part.
That's right.
Get your business degree, your marketing degree, and the photo part will come. And I didn't end up getting a degree in anything, but kind of learned the business part as I've gone. And but I'm always interested in learning about anything, whatever random thing there is. I like to learn about it. So that might be why I've learned enough in the business area to keep me going this long. But yeah, to each his own, I guess.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's a right or wrong way, but I mean, there probably is a wrong way, but there's more than one right way. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
like Canon, Nikon, I'm going to be a professional photographer. What should I shoot?
Yeah.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter. It's a tool.
Yeah.
So, let me see. Was there anything else I wanted to touch on? Gosh, we've covered it all.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easier than I thought.
That wasn't so bad, right? Cool. Well, I just want to, say thanks for being on the show. If anybody, any of our viewers, if they want to like get in touch with you, Joel, and just say, thanks for sharing, how can they do that?
Facebook.com, Studio EMP. Go to the website, studioemp.com. Or like I tell everyone else, just call Heather.
No. Cool. Studio manager. Right on. Well, cool. I'll definitely put a link below this interview, so anybody who wants to go to your site can go check that out. But let me be the first to thank you, Joel, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Honored to be here.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.